Hi, I'm Neil Beck. I was a doctor in Perth, Western Australia for 53 years, and I was always interested in the people who suffered the most and got the worst treatment. And that was people with mental health problems who then became addicts. Sure, I saw a lot of infections, a lot of all sorts of health problems, including cancer, heart attacks, strokes, nasty stuff. But the worst was mental health disorders that finished up as an addiction because people didn't get the medical diagnosis and proper treatment that they needed. And over the years, I learned a lot of things, some of which I want to pass on to you today. The most important thing in your life is your mental health, your mental healthiness, your feelings, your thoughts, your thinking, your decision making, your habits, and the second most important thing is your relationships. Now, what about feelings? If you have bad feelings, you must face them. People try to just suppress bad feelings. It doesn't work. You just push them into the back of your mind where they still worry you and you don't know why. Face your bad feelings. What are they? Get clear what your bad feeling is. Is it worry, anxiety? Is it panic attacks? Is it social phobia? Is it depression? Is it being manic, bipolar? Whatever it is, try to feel clearly what it is and try to remember when you first started to feel like that and what caused it. Unhappy feelings are bad habits. Bad habits. How you get to have abnormal anxiety or worry or abnormal depression is that things happen in you that gave you that feeling over and over again, and anything that happens in us over and over again eventually the triggers and the electrical messages, that is the messages that run from our brain along our nerves and the chemical messages, the chemicals that flow from our brain and our glands in our blood to various parts of our body. Those flows and triggers get stronger and stronger the more often the thing happens, until eventually they become automatic and unconscious. We just feel worry, anxiety very easily for very little reason, because the triggers and the message, electrical and chemical message flows have become so strong. So how do you fix bad feelings? That's probably one of the most important things you can do to have a good life. Well, first of all, you face it. Don't just try to suppress it, to push it down, because that just pushes it into the back of your mind, where it continues to worry you and you don't know why it continues to trouble you. So first of all, what is the feeling? Sometimes stop and just feel, is there any anxiety, worry? Is there any sadness? Is there any loneliness? Is there any irritability, anger? And get clear what the feeling is. Then, as far as possible, try to recall when it started and what started it. What things happened that started it, and what things kept happening that kept it going until it became a habit. And how do you break habits? You break bad habits, whatever they are: smoking, alcoholism, or worry, anxiety, by delaying them and weakening them until the underlying triggers and messages get weakened. If the problem is worry, anxiety, you try to feel it and then stop feeling it. You try to find things that suppress it, things that make you happy and relaxed instead. For instance, activities, things you like doing, people you like being with, places you love to go to, and then practice steady breathing. Our breathing and our feelings are very closely related. So whenever you have a feeling that you don't want, start to breathe steadily. In, out, in, out, in, out. Breathe steadily. And that will weaken the unhappy feeling. And then learn to do quick switching. Have alternative things that you do when that bad feeling starts. When the bad feeling starts, feel it, but then quick switch to something else, to some activity, music, reading, watching certain videos, and one of my tools is powder medicine in pocket dispensers. if you drop powder medicine on your tongue, it starts to work in 5 minutes, and it works strongly in 10 to 15 minutes. Tablets and capsules take 30 to 60 minutes to start working, to pass right down your gut and start to get absorbed into your bloodstream and start to help you. 30 to 60 minutes, and 1 to 2 hours to work strongly. But powder dropped on your tongue and sucked, not swallowed, goes straight into the circulation in your tongue. Your tongue is pink or red because the blood vessels are so close to the surface. And if you drop thousands of tiny granules of powder medicine on your tongue and suck it, don't swallow it, it starts to work in 5 minutes and works strongly in 10 to 15 minutes, which helps to weaken that bad feeling. So every time you get that bad feeling, you can drop powder medicine like this. Another alternative, if you don't want to take medicine, is to have a lovely taste. But you don't want that taste to be fattening or addictive. The best taste to have is fruit powder. Fruit powder has got a little bit of fructose, natural sugar, but it doesn't have cane sugar, which is unhealthy. Fruit powders have lovely tastes, and fruit powders are becoming more and more popular throughout the world, so you can easily go online and buy them. We've made pocket dispensers to be able to drop fruit powder on your tongue at any time, so you have it in your pocket wherever you are, whatever you're doing. You might just feel like having a lovely taste, and instead of chocolate or sweets or cake or biscuits, something unhealthy, you just drop the lovely fruit powder on your tongue, and you concentrate on that lovely taste instead of the bad feeling. And when the taste starts to fade, have another dose and keep on doing that and concentrating on the lovely taste instead of the bad feeling, and that weakens the bad feeling. You break habits by delaying them, doing a little bit less of them, and doing that more and more and more until they're very weak and stop. So, bad feelings, face them. What are they? If possible, understand how you got them, where you got them. It was some situation that was repeated over and over again that gave you that bad feeling until it became a habit, because the triggers and the electrical and chemical messages were strong. And you stop it by doing things that delay the onset of the feeling and reduce its strength. And a very important thing to know is that mental health problems are basically family problems. We're not solo individuals. Most things arise from our family. Before we're born, as we grow from a minute fertilized egg to a 3-kilo baby, we get our nutrition from our mother's blood, and we get her chemistry as well. Stress chemicals or happy chemicals or whatever chemicals are in her blood, alcohol, nicotine, whatever, is in the blood that feeds us as we grow from a minute egg to a 3-kilo baby. And when we're born, we are very helpless. We breathe, our heart beats, we poo and we wee, but if we need something, all we can do is cry. And when we cry, someone gives us what we need. If they don't, we die. In our first year of life, we develop the two most important things for our whole life, which are our feelings, habits, and our relationship habits. Was our feeling mostly smiling and happy with your mother? When you cried, she gave you what you needed pretty quickly, and then you were happy, and she smiled at you and you smiled at her? Or was there a lot of fear, worry, anxiety because sometimes you waited far too long to get what you needed? Or sadness or loneliness, or even anger or irritability that occurred over and over again because things weren't right, so that you develop your feeling habits and your feeling habits and your relationship habits most strongly in the first year of your life, then to some extent in the second year of your life and your third year of your life. That's called the maternal bonding stage. And there are no perfect mothers, no perfect fathers, no perfect families, no perfect homes, no perfect neighborhoods, no perfect schools. So every child had some suffering which caused some mental health damage. And the most important thing for us to do is to get our mental health damage fixed as early as possible. Preferably our parents help to fix it while we're still children. And if you have any bad feeling habits, you break them. You feel exactly what they are. You try to determine what caused them, what keeps them going, correct those things, and then you develop different ways of stopping that feeling as soon as it starts. Activities, things you love, quick switching to something else, and perhaps a lovely harmless taste like fruit powder. And it's very valuable for you to know about your family, to know about your mother and her childhood and her life up until she had you, and your father and your mother's mother and and her father and your father's mother and father and your grandmother and grandfather's mothers and fathers, because a common cause of problems is transgenerational trauma. If something very bad happens to someone, an early death, mother dies of tuberculosis when her child is 3, mother dies of cancer when her child is a teenager, father has mental health problems and becomes an alcoholic, father becomes unemployed or his business fails, and the family home is lost and you have to move and go to a different school. So it's very important to realize that most mental health problems are family problems and not just the present family. They can come from the previous generations, and you need to understand the best and the worst things that happen to any member of your family, going back to your 4 great-grandmothers and 4 great-grandfathers. And this is just not done usually in mental health care, but it is very important. My family suffered as the result of the suffering of a great-grandmother. One of my 4 great-grandmothers had 9 children, starting when she was 16, by 3 different partners. A husband who was an alcoholic and deserted her when she had 4 sons in 6 years, 16, 18, 20, 22, 4 babies. Then her husband left. And then when she was 24, she had her first daughter, and then she had another daughter with a boyfriend that she wasn't married to. And I don't know what happened to that relationship, but when she was 30, she remarried, and in the first year had 2 more babies 10 months apart, and then another baby. So 9 children, 2 of whom died young, with 3 different partners. And my grandmother was born when my great-grandmother was 24, and when my great-grandmother remarried at 30, my grandmother was 6. And she would have had to help so much from such an early age with the housework and the brothers and sisters. And when she was about 14 or 15, her mother got cancer. That's my great-grandmother got cancer, and she died when she was 42, when my grandmother was 18. And my grandmother was a very tough lady, and I thought she was a bitch. She treated me very badly from a very early stage, until I researched the family and I realized that she probably didn't like my father's family because they were Germans, and the Nazis and Hitler were just coming to prominence. There were memories of the First World War, and then the Second World War started in September 1939. But now I know that my grandmother was a hero, because you judge people, no, judge is a bad word, you assess people by their children. And my grandmother's family turned from poverty and poor education to great success. And I believe she was the key person. Her first son, born when she was 20, was one of the nicest people that I ever knew, and everyone loved him, and he was a successful accountant. And then my mother was a very nice lady, very friendly and gregarious and popular, and as a country girl from a family that never owned their own home and never had a motor vehicle, at the age of 12 she got on the train and came to Perth, and eventually became the dux and the head girl of the best school in Western Australia. So it's very helpful to understand the dynamics of your family, especially anything very good or very bad that happens. A lot of people think that suppressing stuff to protect the children is a good idea. So if a grandfather or an uncle was an alcoholic and a dropout, or a criminal, or who did something very bad, don't talk about it. But it's very important for the children and the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren to know about those very important things, because they leave emotional scars, bad feeling habits passing down through the family. So one of the most important things in mental health is to learn to make good new habits and break bad old habits. So how do you do that? If you want to make a good new habit or break a bad old habit, the first thing is to become very sure that you want that. Think about, research, talk about how it's going to make your life better, how your life will be better for the rest of your life, and how those that you love will be better off if you make this new habit or break this old habit. become very clear and sure that you want to do that. Then to make good new habits, make them convenient. If it's exercise, you need to have your own exercise machine at home. Mine is 3 meters away on the front patio. But one of the things I hope to do is to make one that's so nice, such a nice piece of furniture and so compact that I have it right next to me inside. My original exercise was at a health club, and it took me 15 minutes to drive there, and I had to wear special clothes, and then I had to have a shower and then get changed back into my usual clothes. Very inconvenient. Didn't do it very often. Machine on your front veranda, you do it much more often, preferably every day. And when we have little push-pull machines that exercise our legs and our arms and our spine and our heart and our lungs, when we have those machines, that's such nice compact pieces of furniture that we have them next to our desk or next to our TV, and we do them 5 or 10 minutes, 2 or 3 times every day. That'll be great. So to make habits, make them convenient and make them easy. Don't try to make a very complicated, difficult, long habit. Try to make the habit, the basic habit, simple and easy and quick. And once you've built that habit, you can add the bells and whistles. You can make it more complex, more difficult, longer, but be very sure that you want the habit, make it convenient, make it simple and easy and quick, and make it enjoyable. Have something that you enjoy about it. If it's exercise, have a lovely taste every time you think about that exercise or start to do that exercise, and then it'll be easier for you to do it more often, and the more often you do it, the stronger the triggers and the electrical and chemical messages will become. The sooner it'll be a habit which you just do with little thought and little conscious effort, which benefits you. And how do you break habits? Well, we used to talk, go cold turkey, just stop. As Ronald Reagan's wife, I think it was, said, just say no. But going cold turkey is very difficult and very uncomfortable when you're trying to stop triggers and electrical messages and chemical messages flowing in your body that have been flowing strongly for a long time. So a much more reliable way than going cold turkey is to delay starting the habit each time and do a little less of it each time. For instance, with smoking, a very strong habit that kills 7 million people a year in the world, and for every one that kills ruins the health of many, many other people. When you want to have a cigarette, delay it for about 15 minutes. Now you can do that with willpower. Just look at your watch and time and say, I'm not going to do that for 15 minutes. Or you can have things that help you to delay that habit. We've got a mixture, a powder medicine mixture of 3 different medicines, which I call tobacco fix, in a dispenser. And if you have that in your pocket, you can just whiz it out, drop it on your tongue, and it will help you to delay the smoking by, say, 15 minutes. Or you can have the lovely fruit powder taste and drop that on your tongue and just concentrate on the lovely taste and delay smoking for 15 minutes. And when you do smoke, after you've smoked 3/4 of the cigarette, you throw the rest away, so you do a little bit less. Delay it and reduce it, and that weakens the triggers and the electrical and chemical messages. And when they're weakened, it's easier for you to delay longer and to do less. So you delay the cigarette for 20 or 25 minutes, and you only smoke half of it and throw it away. Doing that, you can often fairly comfortably reduce your smoking by 1/4 in a couple of weeks, and then reduce it by another 1/4 in another couple of weeks, and then reduce it by another 1/4, and in 8, 10 or 12 weeks you can stop it, and you're much less likely to relapse because you've weakened and weakened and weakened the triggers and electrical and chemical messages. But always carry the powder dispenser in your pocket to prevent relapses, because so many people who stop smoking relapse. They relapse after a week, or after a month, or after 6 months, or after 3 years. But if you've got that in your pocket and the situation arises where you get the urge to smoke and someone gives you a smoke, you say, no, I like my powder taste better. You whip it out and you drop some on you, and you avoid the relapse. So that's how you that's how you break habits. And habits are 60 to 65% of our life, including sleep. Sleep is 1/3 of our life, but almost another 1/3 of our life is habits, things that we just automatically, almost unconsciously do without thinking about them. And that's because our brain is so busy, it has so many things to manage, to decide and manage, that it has to turn anything that we do often into an automatic habit. So it can concentrate on the difficult things and the unusual things that the new things. So it can only, you can really only focus on one thing at a time, and so your brain just can't manage you like that. It has to turn many things into habits, and learning to make and to break habits is one of the most important things in being mentally healthy and having a good life. Another very helpful thing, particularly if you suffer from anxiety or worry, is to write down your 3 greatest fears. Just stop and think, what are the worst things that could happen to me? What are the things that frighten me most? And face them and think about them, and think about how you can avoid them happening. And that will greatly reduce your anxiety. And think of and write down the 3 things that you most want. And look at that list of 3 things quite often, because the clearer, the more and more you think about what you want and need most, the clearer and clearer you get about it and how you can get it and how you can get rid of the things that are stopping you from getting it. So make a list. 3 of the things that most frighten you and how you're going to avoid them, and they'll become much less of a worry, and you'll worry much less. And write down the 3 things that you most need to have a better life, and think about them quite often. And fix problems early. Sadly, we don't treat mental health problems as emergencies, but when you first have a problem, it's usually pretty simple and pretty clear, and the cause is, or causes are fairly obvious. And it's much easier to fix that problem when it first starts. When you first fail your exams because you didn't study enough, when you first have that family quarrel, when you first drink too much alcohol and crash your car, when your business fails because you didn't manage it well enough. It's far easier, but problems lead to problems which lead to more problems and complications, and it's so common for people to not get treatment for their problems until they're very complicated. They started with ADD, ADHD when they were a little kid, and it made them a bit of a problem, and then they developed some worry and anxiety and some problems in their relationships with their parents and their siblings. And then they got to school and there were a problem in the classroom. they were hyperactive, impulsive, and they disturbed the classroom, and that caused bad relationship with the teacher and with the kid they're sitting next to or in front of or behind, who they were always interrupting. And then they got a poor education. They left school early. They had poor employment and sometimes were unemployed, so they had money worries. And the distress of all this and their impulsiveness made them sitting ducks for drug dealers. And so I said, oh, try this heroin, try this crystal meth, try this cocaine, it'll make you much better. And it did a little bit, which they could afford, did make them much better. But because it was addictive, they had to take more and more and more until it was a big problem. So problems cause problems, which cause problems. And the earlier you start to deal with a problem, you get help with a problem, the easier it'll be and the more likely you are to get completely better. And when you leave it for 5, 10, 20 years and it's become a very big complicated problem, it's almost impossible to get enough help, almost impossible to get completely better again. So fix things early. And don't play the blame game. So often when things aren't working, people look for someone to blame. But almost everything is multifactorial, and to just blame one person is unrealistic, unfair, and unhelpful. If someone hurt or neglected you, that was probably because they were hurt and neglected, and the person that hurt and neglected them was hurt and neglected. It was a family matter. It was a multiple person matter. And if you try, as you should, to find out as much as you can about this problem and where it started and what started it, if people think you're going to blame them, they don't tell you the truth. You can't find out what and why. Finding out clearly what happened and why is very important in fixing things. And you're not going to be you're not going to find out what and why if people think you're going to blame them. So don't play the blame game. And don't blame yourself. If you've got problems, they were almost certainly family problems, or sometimes things out of the blue, accidents, or wartime conflicts, or bad neighbours. But blaming is very unhelpful. And self-help is so important. If the conclusion that I came to was that mental health and good relationships were the most important things in a person's life, and that there were never going to be enough mental health care professionals to help all the people that needed help. So there were long waiting lists, and waiting lists just allowed things to get worse and worse. So if there's not enough helpers, learn to help yourself. And as mental health care professionals, we should make helping people to learn to help themselves a major priority, but that doesn't seem to happen. Mostly people just keep on coming back to get your help. And how can we achieve that? How can we achieve early self-help which reduces the workload so that there are enough mental health care professionals to deal with the people who can't help themselves or can't help themselves very much, and to deal with the more difficult problems that we may not be able to help ourselves. I came to the conclusion that we had to have a whole pack of tools, mental health and addiction care tools, that covered everything. We have tools for everything today, tools that help us to do things faster, easier, better, less costly. When I was a boy a long time ago, we had hammers and chisels and hand saws, and we had nails, and we had screws and screwdrivers. But now think of all the tools: glues, nail guns, electronic saws, and grinders and sanders. So many tools everywhere, in the workshop, in the kitchen, in the bathroom, everywhere tools. But in mental health, only two tools with both big weaknesses. Medicines, so many of which are addictive and which are too slow. Tablets and capsules are just too slow. When you swallow them, they take half an hour to an hour to start to work, and 1 to 2 hours to work strongly. Too slow for many mental health suffering and for many addiction cravings. And the other tool is talk therapy, counselling, psychotherapy, CBT, whatever you like to call it, talk therapy. Too slow. Takes an hour to really understand a new patient with a mental health disorder, especially if they've got an addiction or a substance abuse. That's too slow, talk therapy. And having to then have consultations, long consultations every week, for weeks and weeks or months or years even. And talk therapy has the other big problem that it's too expensive. To be a therapist, you have to be a highly intelligent and trained person. You need at least a 4-year Bachelor of Psychology from a university, or maybe a 6 or 7 year PhD. And to be a psychiatrist, you have to have a 6-year general medical degree, and then some general medical experience, and then 3, 4 or 5 years of postgraduate psychiatry training. So mental health professionals are intelligent people who've had long, costly training, and they deserve to be paid well, and we need to pay them well, or we'll have less of them. And the cost of mental health care through talk therapy is so great that very few people can afford it. And if they've got health insurance, they'll have a limited, inadequate number of sessions a year paid for by their health carer. So many people are dependent on the free government clinics, and the free government clinics have long waiting lists, and people don't get as much help as they need because there's so much demand. So we need tools. I've now got 8 tools developed over 27 years. Videos. People need to understand their mental health problems. And if we have to explain it to them one by one, it just takes too much time. And the fastest, easiest, best, lowest cost way for people to understand mental health problems is with videos. I used to have long videos, still have. Got 31 7 to 12 minute videos, but people now want TikTok type videos. They want it very fast. So I now have nearly 90 or about 90 under a minute videos that cover every item of mental health and addiction. The next tool is websites. Websites which have got information about everything that you need, about all the different things, mental health things that people need. So my mental health website is mentalhealthvideos.com, but that's about 14 pages and it's long, and people want things to be fast. So now we've got a second website which is smilefixit.com, smilefixit.com. Everything on one page with links you can tap to take you to more detail. And then we need to have information gathering system which is fast and very comprehensive, doesn't miss anything. Checklists can be a help, and I when I got too busy and couldn't cope with all the people that wanted help, I made a 20-question checklist and got an assistant to see new patients and do the checklist. And then in about 10 minutes, with the result of the checklist and talking to the patient about the main items, I could do what used to take me 30 or more minutes, which I just didn't have. But checklists still require people to come to make an appointment and come to the clinic and require another person. So in the end, apps became more and more common, and we realized that an app was the best information gathering and giving tool, and we created the Mental Fix-It app, the Mental Fix-It app. And that asked 38 questions. Yeah, the Mental Fix-It app asked 38 questions. Each question had 3 possible answers, and you just tapped your choice of those 3 answers, and that took about 10 minutes. And hundreds of people downloaded that app and did it, but we wanted thousands or hundreds of thousands to have a fast information gathering app. So we reduced the 38 questions to 19 questions, and they could do the app check, tapping their choice of answers in 5 minutes. But even that's too long, so now we're revising it and reworking it and doing it differently, and very soon the Mental Fix-It app will be a 2-minute app. So a troubled person will be able to whiz their phone out, tap the App Store or Google Play button, and in a few seconds download the Mental Fix-It app. In 2 minutes, tap their scores, the score they choose for each question, and then get an instant report on their phone, which tells them the 4 things they most need to know. It tells them which 6 of our 100 videos, 90 under a minute videos are going to help their particular problems best, fastest, most thoroughly. And they can watch those 6 under a minute videos in 6 minutes. So a few seconds to download the app, 2 minutes to do its check, 6 minutes to watch the under a minute videos, and they're miles in front. They've got a lot of understanding of their problems and what caused them, and their nature, and how to fix them. The report, the instant app report, also gives them a list of all their problems. The biggest problems with a score of 15, the medium problems with a score of 9 or 10 or 11, their smaller problems with a score of 4 or 5. And to have a complete list of everything is so important. If you're going to get completely better, you have to know everything that's wrong. And that's one of the big problems with talk therapy. It's so slow that lots of people don't get beyond their first biggest problem or their first 2 biggest problems, but some other problem that's 10 or 15% of their problem, and so much smaller but still a real problem and dragging them down, they get to know everything. And sometimes they can't face their biggest problem. It's just too much for them. But they can start with a smaller problem. And every time they fix a smaller problem, they feel stronger, they feel happier. They've learned a bit more about how to solve problems and who can help them. And then they can deal with a slightly bigger problem, and eventually they can deal with the big problems. So app, and then live streaming, which is what I'm doing now. That's the 4th tool that helps people to help themselves. You can learn so much by the popular favoured method of watching a screen, and I do 4 sessions a week of live streaming. usually about an hour and a quarter on Wednesday, Friday and Saturday evening at 7 p.m. Perth time, and 9 a.m. Sunday Perth time, which is 9 p.m. Sydney and Melbourne time, but unfortunately it's 7 a.m. New York time and 4 a.m. Los Angeles time, and God knows what London time and Sweden time and Norway time, and there's often nearly a half of our viewers are from the Northern Hemisphere. I switched the Sunday 7 p.m. session to 9 a.m. So that in the Northern Hemisphere it's a more user-friendly evening time. The fifth tool is powder medicine, because powder medicine works so much faster, and in mental health and addiction speed is very important. So powder dropped on your tongue and sucked starts to work in 5 minutes, but soon your body connects the taste of that powder with getting better 5 minutes, starting to get better 5 minutes later, and then you develop taste conditioning, and as soon as you taste the powder it starts to work. So if you can have medicines that start to work in seconds and are working strongly in 5 to 10 minutes, that helps you far more with your mental health and addiction problems. And because powder in a bottle with a little scoop was inconvenient, I developed pocket powder medicine dispensers. So that dispenser has now got the powder in it that I need. Well, I don't need any medicines now, but if I did, I'd have the medicine as powder in the dispenser in my pocket, and wherever I was and whenever I needed it, I can whip it out and drop powder on my tongue in seconds and start to feel better or get better in seconds, and to have strong beneficial effects in 5 to 10 minutes. So that's 6 tools. The 7th tool is the heartbeat meditation aid. The heartbeat meditation aid helps people who have difficulty in learning to meditate, because meditation is so valuable for people with mental health and addiction problems. It helps them to be calmer, to be more relaxed, to be happier, to sleep better. But the people who would benefit most from meditation often can't learn to meditate, because in meditation you focus on something which enables you to stop worrying about everything else for a few minutes. And that's what meditation is, a little holiday from all your problems that helps you to relax, to feel calmer, to feel happier, to get better, refreshed and stronger. But usually they teach you to focus on a word or focus on your breathing, but that's not mind-grabbing enough. What you're focusing on has to really grab your mind so you can stop thinking about everything else. And I'd been listening to people's hearts for 50 years with stethoscopes, and I knew that heartbeats with a good stethoscope are loud and strong, attention-grabbing, interesting. So I just got a stethoscope and cut it short. And this is the listening part. You just put it down over the upper left side of your chest where your heart is, and you listen to that loud, strong, interesting heartbeat, and you can learn to do that much more easily than focusing on a word or breathing. And after a couple of months of doing that, you've got a strong enough meditation habit that you can start to meditate focusing on your breathing, which is the best thing, because you've got your breathing with you anywhere, everywhere. You can do it anytime, driving the car, sitting with a friend, reading a book. You can just stop for a minute and breathe and meditate, and that's so valuable. If you want a heartbeat meditation aid, we can post you one for $25 plus postage anywhere in the world. And the 8th tool is fruit powder taste. This is a bigger dispenser than the medicine dispenser, because the medicine dispenser gives only a 0.2 of a ml dose, which is not enough to get a strong taste. This dispenser gives you a 1 ml powder taste. So you got it in your pocket, you just whiz it out, tap like that, and then press it like that, and you've got the powder on your tongue. You have a lovely taste, and you can focus on that lovely taste, which helps you feel better, but it helps you stop putting bad stuff in your mouth. Instead of a cigarette, or instead of cake or biscuits or lollies or chocolate or whatever, if you've got a weight problem or a diabetes problem, you can, every time you're tempted to put something in your mouth that it was not good for you, you can put a lovely taste in your mouth instead. And you can use that lovely taste to make new good habits. Some habits that we want to do but we don't like very much, like maybe exercise or studying, or something we have to do that we want to make a habit, but we can't do it often enough for it to become a habit. You can do it much more often by having a lovely taste every time you think about it and every time you do it, and then it'll be easier for you to do it more often for it to become a habit. Or you can use a lovely taste to break a bad habit. If you've got a bad habit, every time you think of doing it or start to do it, you stop and drop lovely fruit powder taste on your tongue, and you focus on that lovely taste. Don't think about the thing you're trying not to do. Focus on the taste, and when the taste starts to fade, have another taste, and then another taste, and put off the habit you're trying to break, because the way that you break habits is you weaken their triggers and their underlying electrical and chemical messages, and you do that by delaying them and doing a little bit less of them, which weakens them, and then you can delay them a bit longer and do a bit less of them easier, and then you can you gradually delay them longer and longer and longer, and do less and less and less of them, till sometimes you can miss doing them, and when you miss doing them, that weakens the habit, the triggers and the electrical and chemical messages even more. and you can quit the bad habit, but you carry the powder in your pocket to prevent relapses, because with bad habits, after a lot of hard work and getting and breaking the habit, you can easily relapse. A crisis happens or something happens and you just do it once, and unfortunately the messages, the electrical and chemical messages and triggers come back quickly. An ex-alcoholic only has to have 2 drinks and they're gone again. A smoker only has to have 1 cigarette and they're gone again. A heroin user who hasn't used for 3 years and a situation arises where heroin's available and they want to use it and they have 1 shot and they're gone. So prevention of relapses is very important, and that's easily done with powder, either medicine powder or fruit powder, which you have in your pocket at all times. Well, I think that's enough for today. I'm sorry I can't talk to all the people that want to talk to me. I have thousands of viewers, and I'm so busy. I've got tool number 9 and tool number 10 coming, and I'm so excited. I think they're going to be so helpful, but they're a lot of work, so I'm very busy, so I can't talk to you, but I really want to know what people out there are thinking, and so please, on whatever platform you see this live streaming, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram or Facebook, please send me your comments and questions and criticisms, how we could do things better through that platform, or send me emails. My email address for that, spelled how it sounds, is healthestuff@gmail. healthestuff@gmail. If you can't remember that, just go to the very easily remembered smilefixit.com smilefixit.com website, and you'll find the email address and send me emails. Well, I'll be back again Wednesday at 7 p.m. Perth time.